Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all you got to do is practice. Holy shit, my green screen technology just blows. You know, I try to set this thing up so that I'm like all anti-aliasing and looking like I'm a bunch of shit. You know what? This is a bargain basement podcast for a bargain basement world. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Tuesday night extravaganza. This is the Painting with Menoth John show. Up with me, as is the usual thing that we're doing these days, since I'm a part-time podcaster, is the host of everybody's favorite Parrot with Beer podcast, the Beermachine, Mr. Rich Brotman.
How's it going, folks? Pleasure to be here. We got a fun and interesting show for you tonight.
Yeah, we sure do, folks. You know, if there's one thing that this show stands for, it's conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories and two-brush blending. Or maybe even more than that, zenithal shading and conspiracy theories. So you get it's like two things in one. It's like cramming like a Butterfinger and something that tastes good with Butterfingers together really hard. And we do it for you because in free as the day is long. And here you are watching us for some reason. God bless you all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be back on the dulcet tone mic here with my good friend, Mr. Rich. Rich, before we get going too far, I do want to ask all the Brushheads to grab something special because lots taken place in my life since the last show. So many of you know I've talked about Zaza the Wonder Pup a number of times on the show, and the fact that she could gas a room with her ass like no other animal on this planet. She was a 4-legged toxic waste dump, but she was the best friend in the whole wide world. And she is at the Rainbow Bridge now. She suffered from an undetected cancer, and we had... I was in Seattle on business, and I got a call that she was being rushed to the veterinarian hospital. And so it turns out she had a cancer of the veins. She's a boxer dog, and I guess what's common with boxers is this kind of vein cancer. And she had a mass on her spleen that bled, and the blood filled her chest cavity, and it stopped her heart. And there was nothing that anybody could have done. The people at the Wolfdorf Astoria, which was the doggy daycare she stayed at during the day, loved her very, very much, and she was never alone, and she was never scared, and she was never in any pain. And that's the best we can hope for when somebody that you love so much passes. You know, she was a good girl. She was with me for 9 years. And turns out we did some looking back, and she was probably closer to 11 or 12 when we started doing some math. And I think 9 or 10 years I had her. But she was a wonderful companion, and today I got the call from the veterinary hospital that her ashes were back from being cremated, and I got her urn and got a paw print, and so she has come up and now has got her paw print next to a picture of one of Belinda's cats who also passed, I believe, since the last show. And so Belinda and I have been dealing with a lot of loss in our lives, and So, but I just thought it'd be nice to start the show, on a sad note. We'll get into the shenanigans here in a little bit, but I'm gonna see Zaza again. I'm gonna see Ginny again, and they're gonna be there for us and waiting, and when they're in a better place and in a lot healthier spot, and we're gonna the shenanigans. They're gonna be afoot. I tell you that. So on behalf of Zaza the Wonder Pup, hey Ron.
Ron.
So that was Sortilege 7-year-old Sortilege Prestige.
Oh, very nice.
That is delicious fucking whiskey.
It is.
Holy shit balls.
I should show you what I'm drinking here.
Yeah, what are you drinking, Rich?
So I know normally beer machine, blah blah blah.
Oh,
I wanted to change it up a little bit.
hate you.
This is Southern Tier Bourbon.
Nice.
Yeah. So they started making spirits.
Nice.
And I'm not a connoisseur of whiskey, bourbon, etc. To any degree, like I'm into beer, but I absolutely love it. This is the second bottle. The first bottle I had was a smoked whiskey, and this is their straight bourbon. It must be new because they're hand numbered.
Nice.
And this is batch 1, bottle 345. So I'd say this is pretty early in the production run.
No doubt. By the way, Sailor Dan's is hand numbered too, and we all know what kind of hot fucking garbage that rum is.
So,
anyway, just because you wrote on it with a pen doesn't make it awesome. But I'm glad to hear this is good stuff.
Yeah, I'm a fan. 44% alcohol, and they go on and on and on about how they love the area and something. That's why we make it and whatever. Bottle talk. Whatever.
Something. Buy our shit.
Yeah. So, I think we should get on to some congratulatory better news.
Yes. I'm going to get my other bottle because I'm going to be doing this next toast using Jim Beam Fire because we have a ginger to talk about. One of our long favorite people, one of our long-term Brushheads, and who is in the chat room this evening, is Miss Sarah Jane Chu. You may know her as the Brush Chewer. She is amazing, and so is her partner, John. And they are from Scotland. Oma the Attic. And the...
That was terrible.
It was terrible. They have just been named to the Scottish WTC team. So, yay! Here's to Sarah Jane and John. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
Super thrilled for you guys. First off, they really exemplify everything that's right about the community. They're super nice people, wonderful players, wonderful painters. So you're going to get the hobby and you're going to get the good play at the same time. And I promise anybody who is lucky enough to get to play across the table from these folks, you're in for a treat because they're just great folks. When I took my family over to the UK this last summertime, one of the real highlights of the trip was getting to go out with John and Sarah Jane and pour a couple pints down our necks and talk some smack, and it was super fun. Great people, and I wish you all the best luck in Poland. So
what a good place to have it too, right?
Fuck yeah, cheap as shit, and also Poland, which is fucking legit. So I would like to see them get to be a little less fascist, but they're working on it. I'm sure they're working on it. I'd like to see the United States be a little less fascist, but here we are.
These things take time.
Yeah.
Or a span of a few years with a lot of force.
Yeah, exactly. So, but super congratulations! Really super thrilled that you guys are going to. God, 20p for a fucking pint? Are you kidding? They'd bury me. Jesus,
I'd be dead.
We were only 3 wins away from being in Poland. You realize that, Rich?
I know.
3 wins.
I take credit for 2 of those losses, and Matt Clark can take 1. Maybe Randy can share 1, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. We didn't have a chance. Come on. Are you serious? There was nobody that was going to beat that San Diego team. That just wasn't going to happen.
I tell you this, if we had won round 1, it would have been a very different feeling the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, we got into the Cool Kids Club just early enough. Hey, Randy Culp is in the chat. Nice. You know,
Yes.
God damn it, it's so much fun to come and do this. I don't even know how many people are watching us, and I don't care. We got all the important people are here. That's for damn sure. And by the way, I want to acknowledge
18, by the way.
18. Awesome. I want to acknowledge John Spencer being in here, Bez, the co-host, the mo-host, of the second best podcast, but far more regular than Painting with Menoth John, more than Dice. So make sure you're tuning in on Sunday nights, the old Painting with Menoth John slot, to watch their awesome show. And if you can afford to, get on that Patreon and help make them a little bit of money and help keep the lights on there. My lights are on. I don't got to worry about that shit anymore. So we're just going to do this every now and again. We're 10 minutes into the show, and I have yet to even remotely talk about anything related to painting. So I'm going to put the crotch cam on. Here we go. So, Rich, I want to show off a few of the things that I've been painting since the last show, because it was like a month ago. And
Yeah, it has been a while. So,
Yep.
Yeah, let's. I saw this model in person, folks, and it is even more gorgeous. Take it away, John.
So this is the Dracodile, and this is the first of the black Anchor Heavy Industries models. And it is a spectacular model. I tell you, this was... So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that I did to paint this model, and maybe some advice or some tips you might take from it. This is about 60% airbrush and 40%, 20% two-brush blending, and the rest is dry brush. And it really has worked out interesting. Folks, if you haven't seen the airbrushed rainbow Dracodile, have you seen pictures of that thing, Rich?
Of which thing?
There's a Dracodile out there that was airbrushed like a Skittle. It's like all the colors of the rainbow, and it's sick. This is not as cool as that, but it's pretty nifty. And I appreciate Side Hustle Seth and Brush Stewart, all kinds of wonderful comments in here. I think this base that you're seeing is going to be what you're going to see like 75% of the fucking Dracodiles in the universe on, because it is from Secret Weapon Miniatures. It's their swampy one, and a little bit of painting and a whole lot of water effect, and it really gives you that bayou feel. So really proud of how this thing turned out. A lot of people are focusing on the eye because it's and I think that this is something worth discussing very briefly. In a model like this, where you've got a lot of these greens and yellows and stuff like that, the bright yellow of the eye, I think, catches your attention, and it really focuses it in. And also, this is clearly Pun Dog. The way that he holds his head is like, like, so he's like Pun Dog. So really happy with how this model is. Holy shit, is this thing a beast on the table? Oh my god. So trivially 25 for initial attacks, 25, 20, 20, 20, and then you start buying attacks at 25 with Rask. So he's pretty cool. Turned out pretty good. Dracodile. Let's talk about Cole Grima. Basically, right now these days, I'm just in it for the painting prizes when I go to events. Since the last show, I really have found my mojo for painting again. And Rich, you're a big inspiration on this model, and you can't see. I'll try and hold it up in the air here, like I just don't care.
Might be a little. Oh, that's not doing terrible.
It's not too bad. This is. You'll notice that the stones here are green, and I started to pick up with my Northkin models this jade effect. And what it is it's just a 3-color blend of different colors. It starts off as a Gnarls green, and then, whoops, all over the fucking place. And then I come up with an Iosian green and then a worm green on the highlights. And I think it works out pretty darn well. When you sell that along with the God, fucking putting things in the camera. I'm so bad at this. I put a little water effect in here with the snow. And this is the Secret Weapon Miniatures snow kit, which is crushed glass and water effect. And it really makes a very convincing looking snow, I think.
That's also a secret weapon miniatures base, right?
No, this is actually a PP base. This is a privateer press base, and what I did was,
Really?
oh, absolutely. So what I did was I only put the PVA glue on the back side of it, like halfway around, and then I sand dipped that in Citadel sand, and then I painted the part that wasn't in the sand, and then I put water effect over the top of the paint, and then I mixed up the snow and put the snow over the sand and the water so that you'd have a little bit of a transition from the snow into the water. And I think
Gotcha.
it worked. I think it worked out to be a pretty darn effective combination.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's a beautiful model. Guys, Privateer with their resins are hitting it right out of the park. And then this is my brawler, and he turned out, I think, pretty darn nifty too. Guys, I want to highlight the skin because I want to teach you guys that it doesn't have to be hard to look good. And let's talk about how this skin is achieved. The first step is zenithal shading. I cannot emphasize zenithal shading enough. What it is you're taking this model and you're gonna prime him black, okay? Then you're gonna come in at this 45-degree angle and you're gonna give it the business with some type of a lighter color, either a white primer or a real whitish gray color, and you're going to catch all the sunlight angles. Now, to really kick it up a notch, what you want to do is you want to then come back with a pure white, and you're going to catch the very highlights of it. And one of the things that Side Hustle Seth taught me about was how to do that. What I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a lazy man's version of it, and I'm doing a little bit of dry brushing on those. And that you can still pull up the highlights like on these knuckles, on the top of the muscles, and things like that. Also on the crest, I think it works very well as well. And then when you come back, and on this skin, this is simply two different Citadel shades. This is a Gilliman blue and a Citadel Drushy violet on top of each other. Make sure you let the glazes, those Citadel glazes, dry completely in between coats, or you're going to have a problem. In Rich's case, Rich's trolls use a different color blue. They use a Drakenhof Nightshade, which is it pulls darker, and he can get some very good-looking skins with only one treatment. But, I'm kind of into this purple thing now, so that's kind of what I'm locked into. I had the opportunity to make a model for Rich, the con exclusive Raider model, and that turned out, I think, pretty darn cool looking as far as just with that one shade. So don't make it hard. It doesn't have to be hard to look good. Just go with it and stick with it. The rest of this is, there's some two brush blending in here. There's some good old Agrax Earth Shade. There's some of the different golds that I've talked about on the show a number of times. Looking really good. So that's what I've been up to. I painted something like 20 models, a couple of units of bears, a bunch of shit. I've been busy.
I got a question for you, John.
Shoot, buddy.
Painting question here. So on your Dracodile, just because it's big and easy for the camera,
Yeah.
where did you go back over with the white dry brushing on here?
Okay, so the first thing let me just talk a little bit about how I built the color up. The first step on this thing was was a black primer, then a white zenithal, then I came back with the airbrush, and it was it's a Badger airbrush color. I think I used either sewage water or I used swamp ground, and I just kind of picked up all the tops, because we know on a gator the top is kind of the green part, and then the bottom part's a little bit more yellowish. Okay, you can kind of see it there. I came back, this yellowish color is something called Craven, I believe I used, and I sprayed it from the bottom pointing up. Okay, so that's like part of the work. Then what I did was I came back and I washed it with Agrax Earthshade. And then I built the colors back up with dry brushes of the swamp ground, up to an Iosian green, up to a worm green. So I used the P3 mix chart with similar colors, but kind of mixing them between the Badger airbrush color and here, just to pick up the highlights. I wanted the highlights to be that higher color. Now, the spines are a little bit of a different deal. The spines started off as a Menoth white base, and then I used I forget what the color is. It's on the P3 mix chart, but it's almost kind of like a brownish blue down here, and that's all two brush blended in through here. The Menoth white highlight, I came back and I dry brushed across the top, just on the tips. You just got to give. Sometimes you just got to give it the tip. That's all you got to do.
Just to see how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. Likewise on this part here, the carrion, that started off life as a I believe Trader green, and then I believe the highlight color on that one, according to the P3 chart, is the Ortic olive. So there's some Ortic olive in there as well, folks. That P3 mixing that you have in there, that mixing chart is money. And it is designed for two-brush blending, so it's designed for very thin colors. It will tell you to do the most ridiculous bullshit that you would ever imagine, as far as you use blue when to give you the shade for brown, but it works because of the way that the watered-down color works. So it says, for zenithal shading, do you only dry brush the white, or is it priming white from straight above? It's not from straight above. And I'll try to demonstrate here with this Dracodile. If I'm going to have this on the turntable and I'm going to be zenithal shading, it's a little bit hard from on top to see this, but I'm holding the brush at a 45-degree angle, and then I'm rotating the model, and I'm going like this, okay? So I'm catching everything, and I'm going back and forth, and I'm moving it across the model, and I spin it around a good solid 360 degrees and get it all relatively even. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that and I'm going to say, okay, this arm here, because it sticks out, I should probably have more white in through here. And I'll go back and I'll dry brush more white onto just that section. And then I'll come across here to this side where this arm is, you can see that this arm would be a little bit more out in the sunshine. And I dry brush in there. I dry brush across the top of the head, because I want to make sure that that looks good. I dry brushed along the spines, along the top of the back fin, back in here. And all of that kind of helped to sell to sell all the different highlights and things like that. Now, if you turn the model over and look at them, you can see that, I mean, it's a little bit darker in through here. I tried to kind of allow the darkness to be a little bit more underneath the bottom. More lightness, more yellow, more bright yellow up through here, and also across the hocks in the back of the legs. I wanted those to be a little bit brighter because I wanted it to catch that light. So this is all stuff that Seth taught me when he had stopped over to the house. Is playing with that light and using the zenithal shading to cut your work down. I'm going to tell you that it really increases your speed in painting, like with the cloak here. This is bloodstone, but because of the zenithal shading, you'll see that it already starts to be lighter towards here where the fold is, and darker back where the fold is folded inwards. And then you can emphasize that by using the highlight colors and the shade colors from the P3 chart. That thank you very much, Lunavaco, for putting that out there. Really, really super great. Seth, I cannot stress and emphasize the importance of the help that you've given me, and I really encourage each of you out there that if you're at a big con and Privateer's going to be there, soak that stuff up. If you don't have the financial resources to do that, Dallas's videos are just money, and now every Wednesday you can get more Dallas on Faces and Bases. That guy's legit. There. Boom. Talked about my shit enough. I'm going to paint me a pummeler.
So John won this pummeler. at the ATC?
I did. I succeeded at being randomly chosen.
So the pummeller is, and it's not too commonly seen. And I think I've never played it outside of Gunbjorn, to be honest.
I probably never will either.
Yeah. So the pummeller is interesting in that it is an artillery piece. So you have the movement nonsense with it, where it moves 2 inches and then plus 1 inch for every other crew member within, I believe it's 2 inches of it at the start of the activation. So, it's only going to move 4. It can run 6 or charge 7, which is odd. I know. Hey John, you're catching a good bit of your head in the camera there.
You know, I have the choice between my head or my crotch, and I'm guessing. So there we go. Here, thank you very much. Appreciate that heads up.
There you go.
See what you did there. Heads up.
Yeah, ha ha ha. So the pummeller is fantastic for 2 reasons. Number one, it shoots 16 inches out the gate, and that's without moving. And you're going to want to move it because it's inaccurate, and it is Rat 5 inaccurate, goes down to Rat 1. So if it stands still, it goes up to Rat 3.
Woohoo!
Whoopee. You're still going to miss, more than likely.
Yep.
So just go ahead and move it. So this thing is shooting 16 inches with arcing fire. Then after that, you can, of course, if you're running it with gunny, like I am, it's now shooting 20, and it's walking 4. So that's 24 inches. It's an AoE. It's going to hit. And the important thing is that it is high explosive, which means the AoE blast damage is POW 10.
Indeed.
Even though I believe the main shot is 14 or 12. I think it's 14. So you're going to have an awesome blast damage roll, regardless. And then the other cool thing is leave the template on the table or your token or whatever it is, and you roll deviation again, and you get a second AoE out of it.
Yep.
And it's the same POW 10 blast damage. And it only goes forward, forward left, or forward right. It's not going to go back toward the gun. High defense, low armor troops that are ADing typically hate this thing.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you, I've killed 4 or 5 models on the top of 1 by putting snipe on this thing and moving up and just shooting and then just blowing stuff up. It's incredible. Yeah,
Winter Guard hate this thing. Mage Hunters hate this thing.
Oh, Mage Hunters detest it. It's auto death. You don't even have to roll.
Frogs hate this thing. There's a lot of hate for this model. And you know, I figured it was Rich had been tantalizing me with the double War Wagon list with Gunbjorn, and while I don't have the second War Wagon to play that list, I figured, you know, I've got 2 of the other ones, the other artillery piece. What the fuck are they called? Thumpers. Yeah, I got 2 of those. I didn't have a pummeler, so I figured, yeah, you know what the hell? It was available on the thing, and I just I made my way stealthily up to the table, and when they called my name, I was like, give me that goddamn pummeler, and they gave me that goddamn pummeler. So anyhow, so yeah, that's what I'm painting here tonight. I've been on a damn tear with painting. Took a little bit of a side turn when Zaza passed, but we're gonna get back on the saddle because I know that smelly ass pup would want me to. So
of course you would.
You know what that smelly ass pup would not want to do though is not to get her shots every year so that she could stay healthy.
This is true.
And there are people out there who don't. How's that for a segue?
Oh, that's professional right there.
Oh yeah, fucking yeah! I'm a professional podcaster, bitches.
I think I need another drink before we get into this.
Oh fuck yeah! I mean, ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget why we're here.
Actually, you know what? Before we get into that, we need to hype something. First.
Oh yeah.
I know you've heard me talk about it. You've heard John talk about it. You've heard a couple of other select podcasts talk about it. My favorite con to go to could be John's also. I'm not sure.
It is now. Yeah.
It is now. Awesome. Is the Southern Ontario Open.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this takes place in Southern Ontario. That's Canada, for you folks who aren't familiar. And it is if you look at the exchange rate and the cost of the room and the cost of the food and the cost of the event,
Yep.
it could be, I know it is for me personally, the cheapest con to go to.
It is a high value proposition, even for a goofball like me. I mean, so, you know, I'm very lucky in that I have frequent flyer tickets literally falling out of my ass. But for normal folks, the con itself costs, for a premium ticket, 90 Canadian. And if you want to go with the cheap ticket that doesn't include the t-shirt and the dice, it's still only 70. 70 Canadian is like $1.25 American.
In fact, let's do that conversion right now.
So 90 is 70. I'm just gonna put that
70 CAD, if you got the cheap ones, is $56.
Yeah, for a
That's
weekend.
for 3 days.
Yeah, and I promise you're gonna come out with that much swag.
Oh yeah. It's all over the place.
If you come out of there, if you go play in the Iron Arena, you will pull $50 swag with your eyes closed. Not even trying. So it's a great con.
A couple other great things about the Southern Ontario Open. The hotel that hosts it, the Sheraton of Hamilton. The crew does a bang-up job.
Sure do.
And there is a Starbucks downstairs, which is nice. They have a restaurant with a bar. And the hotel itself lets into an urban mall.
Yep.
Which has a whole bunch of places to eat. Just don't go eat at the Honest Lawyer. And you can ask me about that in person if you want.
Fuck that place.
Or look up my Google review. If you look at my Google review on the Honest Lawyer, make sure you're not drinking anything or you're going to do a spit take.
Pretty much.
So there's a whole bunch of places to eat. There's a liquor store attached. You can park your car in underground parking, go to the con, go to get food, go to do whatever, and not really have to go outside if it's freezing cold outside.
Yep.
Also, there is a wonderful grocery store with a lot of prepared foods also that is cheap and very good. We were eating way too much sushi the whole weekend.
Oh my God, the sushi is friggin' cheap, and it's good, and it doesn't make you sick.
Yep. It's the fan favorite, I think. So besides all that, it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of good people at this event. And what's kind of strange is it's kind of like the podcaster con. It's like we're there, like the Beer Machine crew's there, John's there, Combo Smite is there, Arcane Assist is there. This Death Clock has 60 minutes. The Moose Machine crew is there. Hard 7 has been there. It's a great crew. And now new podcast out of Buffalo. Some of my guys I play with, Signs Importance, they are there. It's always like an amazing fun time, and I can't say enough good about it. That's it's going to be that for me, and possibly War Machine Weekend, and John Con, of course, this year.
Yep.
So go get your tickets. The website is WMH-SOO.com. And tell them Beer Machine and Pain with Mouth John sent you. I'm not going to say you're going to get anything like out of that, but
nothing good could probably happen to you at that point, but that's fine. It's like you're probably not going to like lose a liver or any kind of kidneys or anything like that. They're not going to like butcher you for it, so at least you can mention it. So there you go.
We'll be there.
Get to the friggin' Sioux. It's fucking legit. So let's pimp another thing. So you got a podcast, Rich. It's called Beer Machine. You may have heard of it.
Would you say I may have heard of it?
Yeah, you may have heard of it.
Okay.
Because you're a host on it and producer and all that kind of good stuff. And you guys have done some RPG work as well with the Beer PG.
Yeah. So my co-host Dan, GM Dan, as he goes by now, is one of the best GMs in the business.
Yep.
And he's probably blushing and shit talking me right now, but he is. He is a fantastic GM, and we were talking. We're recording, and there's going to be another episode going up in a few days of Star Wars role-playing game that we've been doing. That JP is GMing as his last hurrah in podcasting. After that concludes, Dan and I will still have a few regular episodes here and there. However, we will be starting a new Iron Kingdoms campaign.
Fuck yeah.
And we're using new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that we won't run into the old characters, but we'll be using new ones. And Dan is GMing. I have a new character who doesn't have a name yet, but is tentatively a Trollkin gun mage, which is kind of weird because you don't expect that for a gun mage. I haven't decided what he's going to sound like yet or his backstory or anything, but we'll get there. Someone suggested Ugandan Knuckles, and I don't know if that's going to work for him, but
we're going to try for this podcast to not be the most horribly racist thing that ever came on the internet. And I'm telling you what, to claim that title, you have to get pretty far off center.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not sure what I'll do yet for it. We have possibly a friend of John's. I don't know if he wants to be named yet on the show.
Let's keep that under wraps.
So we're kind of assembling maybe kind of an all-star cast here. It's going to be good. Dan has already started crafting a story, and he's really excited for it. And John, you want to tell us a little bit about your character?
So I would love to. And nothing, no story starts better than when you say, "Let me tell you about my character." So the when Rich approached me and is like, my instant reaction was, well, hell yes, I want to be a part of the Beer PG on a regular basis, because I don't really get a chance to roleplay nearly as much as I'd wish I could. And then I thought to myself, so I've been dancing the troll dance for some time, and I wanted to get my minions out on the table. So I'm kind of enamored with minions right now, and especially gators. So I thought to myself, what you need to do is you need to run a Gatorman character. And because the Gatormen all have this kind of bayou kind of voodoo thing going on, I created the character that will be known as Porkchop Fontaine. Yes, Porkchop Fontaine is a troll, he's a Gatorman, bushwhacker, and monster hunter. So I mean, yes, he's a little Long Chops inspired, but he's not Long Chops. He is a the best part about all this is that the wonderful and talented Belinda Librarian is as invested in this character as I could ever possibly be, and she has started to develop Porkchop Fontaine's backstory. Turns out Porkchop Fontaine is a colorful social background. He's popular with the ladies, and has a number of offspring and a number of probably as many baby mamas as Sean Kemp, the former NBA player from the Seattle Supersonics, who is well known for having probably several baseball teams worth of children.
You know what? It just dawned on me, John.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any relation to Dallas.
To Dallas Kemp?
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll ask him next time I see him.
Exactly. So Porkchop Fontaine, he's going to have, he's been around the block. He's like I said, a monster hunter, bushwhacker. He's going to be sporting himself a fancy gun of some variety. And we'll work on that through. Turns out that he's also, and this is a news break for Rich, he's also got a bit of a conspiracy theory bend to him.
Oh, no.
Yes. Porkchop Fontaine has never had a vaccine, nor never would have a vaccine on any of his children, and also believes that Cain is flat.
Oh, no.
And
no.
And does want to know that smoke that's coming out of the old witch's moving castle, if that's not a chemtrail. So
that's just great.
So Porkchop Fontaine is a conspiracy theorist, monster hunter, bushwhacking gator. Hoo-wee! I do declare, it's gonna be some good times out there on the old bayou. We got some good old times. So very excited.
I seriously hope you take the long chops model and do something nice with it.
When it comes out, I most certainly will, because I need to have me some long chops. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super thrilled to get the opportunity to get together with you guys on a regular basis and record me some RPGs, because that's going to be some good times.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Dan crafts a hell of a story every time.
Yeah, he does.
Actually, speaking of Beer Machine, coming in February, we will be recording at a local brewery for an episode.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna be Community Beer Works. They're I don't know his title offhand. They're a press guy. Invited us over. So, yeah, we're going to be recording from there. That's going to be fun.
Cool.
And they're not closing the place or anything like that. It'll be during business hours, so it should be ridiculous.
Oh, there's no potential for that to be a shit show.
I know, right? So, yeah, it's going to be fun. We're getting, for the IKRPG, we got about 2 other people to get. John has a potential person, and we might have another potential person. We're not positive yet. But shenanigans will ensue.
Indeed.
And it'll be good. And I loved doing the first IKRPG. And at first I was a little weird about it. I thought, is anyone going to even like this? It's kind of weird. And people did, and it kind of grew into its own thing. And I ended up becoming kind of attached to the character. And I played for those that haven't listened, I played a mage hunter assassin elf
that couldn't hit the fucking broadside of a barn.
Well, for the most part, the last 3 episodes, he came into his own.
Dice do normalize.
So there's a feat you can get in IKRPG where you're allowed to select a target, and you get a boosted to hit roll on that target until the target's dead.
Oh, wow.
And then you can shift to another target.
Well, that'll fix Rillen.
Yeah, Rillen destroyed people. He soloed 3 Winter Guard in a bunker, that were already in defensive position kind of thing.
Nice. That's what he's supposed to do, God damn it.
I know, right? That's what he's supposed to do the whole time. Anyway, so yeah, stay tuned. That's coming. It's going to be good.
Super fun.
John, let's see that thumper you got.
Okay,
there.
so far, what I've been doing here is I've been doing some just blocking in the silvers. So, folks, you've probably been seeing me. I've been taking the silvers and the Rulic golds that I'm putting on here straight out of the pot. And honestly, with privateer metals, that's kind of what you want to do. They don't react terribly well to thinning. You'll get better performance and better coverage out of them. And so long as you don't goop them on, it may take you a couple of coats, but you're going to really be happy with the results. So the way I envision this thumper is the top is going to be Rulic gold. I'm going to go down on this next level with a different color gold. I'm probably going to go with either a blighted gold or a bronze. Probably a blighted gold because it's a pretty strong contrast. And then that will be those two, and then this will be I'll keep the silver. And now what I'm just kind of going around. It's well, I like to do a fair amount of silver contrast with gold next to it, and so I'm working on the tires on the thumper itself, or the pummeler, I should say, at this point. I also have on my other models. It's very hard, and folks, I'm sorry, I've got the damn thing zoomed in literally as far as I can do. I have to rework. I have this thing attached to one of those silly dorm lamp holder things, and it's attached to one of the rafters in my basement. So I'll try to get it to be a little bit closer to the model next time, but for now you're stuck with it, and so it's a little hard to see what I'm doing. But I'm just kind of on other models. I've done some of the other trim on the model in gold, so that's kind of what I'm doing here. Is just kind of going through and picking it up and making it match other models in my my collection. So, Rich, we do like our conspiracy theories on this show, and we have every intention to talk about anti-vaxxing. Give us some history. Where did this fucking anti-vaxxing bullshit come from?
So I want to preface this with something here real quick. So I know everyone has a good laugh about the whole chemtrail conspiracy, and haha, it's funny. And you can think about it either way and act whatever way you want on it, and no one really gets hurt over the chemtrail thing. And the same thing goes, and by the way, future episode idea, no one really gets hurt over flat earthers.
Oh, that's coming. Right? We are definitely getting all over flat Earth.
I think we should do that at some point too.
Oh yeah.
You can think whatever you want. You can do whatever. No one really gets hurt. Though, I mean, what's the worst case that happens is someone smuggles a level onto an airplane. Big deal.
Exactly.
Whatever. Okay. So the one that really grinds my gears and really bothers me are the anti-vaxxers.
Yep.
And hopefully a good portion of you are saying, Rich, what are you talking about right now? Unfortunately, it's gaining steam here a little bit, and it's not a good thing. So there is a group of people, some organized, some not, who think that there's a vast conspiracy that vaccines are purposely made to harm you or harm your kids or dumb down the populace is another one, and increase income to a bunch of corporations. And don't get me wrong, I understand a lot of corporations are not in it for the best parts of humanity. That is true. But they think it's malicious to New World Order, reptilian, something, whatever. The usual nonsense. So we're going to go way back in the Wayback Machine here to find out when this started.
Okay, do you know the reference of the Wayback Machine, first off?
No, please enlighten us,
You're a
John.
fair bit younger than I am. So the Wayback Machine goes back to the Mr. Peabody show. It was part of the... God, what the hell part did it come from? It was... So there was Mr. Peabody, who was a dog, and his boy Sherman. And they would use the Wayback Machine to go back to check. I believe it was the Bullwinkle and the Bullwinkle Moose show.
And Squirrel, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bullwinkle and Rocky J. Squirrel show. And it was so they would go back and they would encounter something that took place in history using the Wayback Machine, and hijinks would ensue and all that kind of good stuff. So that's where it comes from, the Bullwinkle and Rocky J. Squirrel show. Continue.
Yeah, that's Moose and Squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel.
I kind of cheat doing the Russian thing because that's half of my ancestry.
Exactly.
So hang on, where are my notes here? Okay.
We take notes for this show, fuck. We got to set this shit straight, folks.
So way back when it started, actually in the early 1800s. And a man by the name of Edward Jenner, you may have heard of.
Yep.
Kind of credited with a lot of scientific stuff.
Bruce Jenner's grandfather, right? Kylie Jenner?
Sure.
I don't know. Who cares?
I hope not. Is credited with doing a lot of work in smallpox vaccinations. Mm-hmm. And discovered that if you take some liquid from some lymph liquid from a cowpox blister on a cow, and you inject it into a person, they become immune to smallpox. And
lives were saved.
A huge public, outcry about this, and people were citing sanitary reasons and religious reasons, and saying, pseudo scientific reasons and political objections, like you name it, whatever. That's the first, as far as I know, and as far as I could find, the first evidence of anti-vaxxers. On a side note, gearing up for Operation Iraqi Freedom, I was given the smallpox vaccine.
Indeed.
So I don't know if it's still effective now. I don't know how long it lasts or if you need a booster or what. But yeah, I was immune, and it was still done the same way, where you get cowpox injected into you.
So come to the Sioux, and we will expose Rich to smallpox, and we'll see if he dies.
Let's not. How's that?
Okay, possibly. That's a better idea.
You want to not sleep tonight? Look up smallpox symptoms.
No, fuck that shit, man. Smallpox was a scourge on this planet, and it was eradicated for a while.
Yeah, for a while. So let's fast forward. I'm going to skip down here to the big thing, and the reason why you hear a lot about it today.
Jenny McCarthy.
Oh God, I if she could just not talk.
If she could have not been born, I'd have been just fine with that.
No, she can be born if she didn't communicate her ideas.
There's a lot of dumb going on there. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, in 1998, a British doctor by the name of Andrew Wakefield decided he thought he knew how to do research and doesn't understand a lick of statistics, and decided that he could link bowel disease, autism, to the MMR vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever taken statistics, even at a high school level, and you look at what he did, you realize it's a farce. More so, I think it was pretty quick after. No, it was actually 6 years later his paper was published. And then in 2010, the paper was formally retracted. And the guy was discredited. I don't know what it's called when a doctor gets, when a lawyer gets unlawyered, they're disbarred.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's called when a doctor's undoctored.
Fucked up.
Yeah. So basically, he was discredited, blah blah blah, and that was it. So this was one study, and it was one guy, and for some reason, a whole bunch of folks decided to run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those people, like John previously mentioned, were Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey, who she was banging, I guess, for a while. I mean, good on Jim, but, yeah, people think, and I know a person who has a friend in real life who refuses to vaccinate their kids because they think their first kid is autistic because of this.
Yep.
Now, we know it's fake because we understand science. We understand that there have been hundreds of follow-up studies that prove this is false. Yet these people continue to cling on to this one study. Now, John,
yes.
You know a thing or two about chemistry, I know.
I have. I do know a thing or two about chemistry, yes.
Yes. Would you like to speak about, oh God, some rave bomb, what did you post? A link to JennyMcCarthyBodyCount.com. This is the number of preventable illnesses from June 3rd, 2007 to July 18th, 2015. I'm assuming, okay, and well, this is good. Number of preventable deaths, 9,028. Number of autism diagnoses scientifically linked to vaccines. You know what that number says?
I would assume 0.
It says 0.
0.
You're right.
Well, but in today's world, scientific accuracy. So I don't know how we got here. I really don't.
I don't know.
I don't know how we got here because, I'm not old enough to remember the 1950s because I wasn't born until almost 1970. But there was once upon a time in this country where we thought that science was going to figure everything out. Now, that may or may not have been misguided. However, science learns us a whole bunch of things, and we should pay attention to it. And somewhere along the lines, we decided as a society that we were going to walk away from science, that we would rather crawl inside our televisions and be complacent with the pablum that is shoved down our necks than it is to think, because thinking is fucking hard. It's hard goddamn work. And it is much easier to look at someone who is as physically attractive as Miss Jenny McCarthy is and assume that because something that beautiful is able to talk, that it must be right. And, you know, God bless her. She is, she had a child. The child was autistic. These things happen. It is possible for something that is that physically beautiful to spawn something that has, for one way or another, has a challenge. It happens. We all got challenges. For God's sakes, they're across a spectrum as wide as all outdoors. We all have things that maybe one person's better at than another person's better at. Her child had a condition that created greater challenges for them for the rest of their lives. It had nothing to do with what's the carrier that is in the? It should be in that history shit you were sending me. There's a carrier in the actual vaccine that is the culprit, and it's a mercury compound.
Oh, they think it's. I'm gonna fuck up the pronunciation, but thimerosal.
I think it's thimerosal. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's a mercury compound. It's a mercury compound, not mercury. Okay? So off topic, and we're going to go a little long because I think we got stories to tell.
Meh.
Mad as a Hatter is a term that has to do with the fact that hatters were using chemicals way back in the day to get the shape of their hats and to form them and all that kind of stuff that had mercury in it. The mercury would get into the bloodstream. They would go nuts. Mercury will cause you to have brain dysfunction. Mercury compounds, completely different. Sodium chloride is made of sodium and chlorine. Chlorine is a gas that will fucking kill you if you're exposed to it. Sodium, when you put it in water, will ignite. Okay? Sodium chloride makes steak taste beautiful. Okay? It's a compound. The properties change when you stick the atoms together. It's called chemistry. Okay? The fact that it is mercury in part of that compound doesn't mean that it causes brain damage. Jenny, it doesn't. It doesn't. Stop fucking people up. Please vaccinate your children. And don't worry about it. Your child is going to grow up to be as beautiful and as wonderful. And if because on some silly ass fucking chart they decided that your child has got other challenges, they're still your fucking child, and they're still amazing and wonderful. Anyhow, so
even a simpler form of that, John. It's a little more unrealistic, but if you look at just look at water, it's what is water?
Hydrogen and oxygen. One blows up, the other one, in enough concentration, will kill you. It also burns like a bitch.
Straight oxygen. If you just drink straight oxygen, what do you think will happen?
Well, first off, straight oxygen, if you're drinking it as a liquid, it's several hundred degrees below zero. You just froze your goddamn GI tract. But if you're exposed to pure oxygen, it'll kill you because your body's not ready to absorb that high concentration of oxygen.
Right.
And hydrogen is straight up blows the fuck up. See also Hindenburg.
Yes. Yeah, there was a video about that. Something, all humanity.
Yeah, something. There was a video about it.
There was YouTube it. Yeah, really.
It blew the fuck up. Because, do you know the reason why that happened, don't you, Rich?
No, why is that, John?
So the reason that happened is because we embargoed the goddamn Krauts during World War II, in the early part of World War II. And so they didn't have anything to make their shit float but hydrogen. Well, it turns out that if you coat the outside of a fucking balloon with thermite and then you hit it with static electricity that ignites the thermite, the hydrogen does a pretty good job of blowing the rest of the shit up. So that's the Hindenburg.
Here it goes, boom.
Yeah, so don't do that. But hydrogen by itself, kaboom. Oxygen, also, hell of an oxidizer. Goes kaboom. Put them together and have a drink.
So one of the reasons we wanted to do this is, like we said earlier, we went to the America's Team Championship,
Yes.
and myself, Matt, and Eric traveled, and we went through Chicago O'Hare Airport.
Second busiest in the United States?
It's pretty busy.
It's pretty busy.
Like, it's a pretty nuts airport. Just
Lots
saying.
of motherfuckers going through there.
Thousands of people, right? So, what happened after we went through there is the news reported on multiple websites, so there's no fake news or anything. This actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
There was a person that was diagnosed with measles. Yes, that same MMR vaccine that would have taken care of that.
Mm-hmm.
Traveled through Chicago O'Hare several days before us.
Yep.
Now, do I have anything to worry about? No. Does Matt? No. Does Eric? No. However, and I mean, my immune system rocks. I'm not worried. However, there are people that do not have immune systems that rock.
Yep. They may be compromised by something like HIV. They may be a very young child in a stroller that would have that is not gotten all of their booster shots and hasn't developed all the immunities yet. Might be a pregnant lady. Might be a pregnant lady that maybe that being exposed to that could potentially harm their unborn child. And because you don't understand fucking science and won't listen to scientists, you feel it's your right to put others at risk. And I am here to tell you that it is not your right. Freedom doesn't mean you get to harm other people, motherfuckers. It means that if you wish to be a part of an operating society, there are certain social norms that you are going to conform to, or get your ass to the cave.
You know what? When you said that, I kind of heard it in Samuel L. Jackson voice.
Oh God,
that was
man.
That was really
if I could have Samuel L. Jackson, someday I am going to record "Go the Fuck to Sleep," and it won't be as good as Samuel L. Jackson's, but it'll be pretty good.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, it's gonna be great. So, so obviously, what do you do about this? You go get your vaccinations,
mm-hmm.
and you do it because A, you want to be healthy, and if you can't get those vaccinations, that's, of course, it is what it is. That's the hand life dealt you.
Mm-hmm.
But you depend on your other folks to do it for you.
Yeah.
And that's what we call herd immunity.
Right.
Because if everyone else is immune to it, you're probably an infinitesimally, small chance, probably not going to get the disease. It's something that really grinds me, and because I'm a very, very science-based person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us folks who work in the sciences in our careers are. Do what you got to do. Go do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's about all I got with that.
And help other people to be smarter. If you find an anti-vaxxer, first pity them. Secondly, address them with an even tone, and help work them through the argument. Because use some of the tools that we've talked about on this show. Talk about the fact that compounds are different than elemental versions of the compounds that they are made out of. Don't help them understand that. Don't make them feel stupid, because if you make them feel stupid, even if they are stupid and deserve to be made to feel stupid, you will get an allergic reaction. And then it will only drive them further. So it's easy to be snarky. It really is. And it's fun. For fuck's sakes, it's fun. But it's not helpful. And this is a topic that we are truly passionate about. Get your shots, get your kids their shots, and make sure that you do that. Now, so there's one shot that I'm a bit of an anti-vaxxer about, and I need some help. So this is like Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm John. Hi, John. And I don't take a flu shot. And now let's talk. So let's talk about flu shots, because I think it's a bit of an outlier and it's different than what we've been talking about.
The flu shot is a strange thing, and I'll tell you this. The flu shot mutates and changes, and there are multiple strains, and it changes at a very rapid rate.
Yep.
And there is a chance at the beginning of the season that the vaccine you're going to get is not for what will become the predominant strain.
It's a crapshoot.
It can happen.
Yep.
And I believe the one this year was not on point. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty damn sure it was not the correct one.
Yeah.
On the upside, so it's like what you should do is get the vaccine early in the season. However, if it's late in the season and you're a slacker and it's January, February, and you haven't had it yet, and it comes out that it's not the correct one, and you can look this stuff up, feel free.
Turns out the CDC is a great resource.
Just don't look it up at look it up at the CDC. Don't look it up on natural news.
No.
And you can find out, they chose, incorrectly. It does happen. It's happened a couple times in the past few years.
Yep.
That's it. But if it's early, there's nothing wrong. It won't hurt you. Unless you're allergic to, I want to say eggs, I think is the base they use to grow it.
Yeah, they use it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Man.
Cool.
I wish I remembered important stuff like
so,
this.
I mean, this is like science and shit. We try to break up the conspiracy theories. We try to bring you the real news around some of this stuff, along with showing off some painting and doing some painting. This show will never be about anything close to informative, but we're gonna have fun.
Congo the Jormagon has a very important point.
Yeah, don't eat the Tide Pods.
Don't eat Tide Pods.
No, for fuck's sakes. It's fucking detergent, people.
Yeah, what the fuck?
How did that even start?
I don't understand.
I'm confused.
I don't understand people.
But anyhow, so we're probably going to wrap the show up here before too terrible long. But man, I'll tell you what. I'm going to play the music just because it's music. So
I have an important update, John.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Emily is on her way home and is bringing me slices of pizza from Lenova.
Oh, fuck. I miss Lenova pizza. God damn.
Yes.
Yeah, good on you, man. I had a can of Progresso soup, and I put some corn in it. So I'll be shitting bullets tomorrow for sure. Man, you don't eat corn, you rent it. It's fantastic. Love that stuff. So, fuck, we wasted an hour of your time. Could have been worse. You didn't get that many tweets or anything like that. We didn't think about Trump for most of an hour. We ran Jenny McCarthy underneath the bus enough times to make her nice and flat like a pancake.
Hell, that was the first time you mentioned Trump right there. That was it.
Man, that
Not
felt
bad.
good. That felt good. But this is, we'll try to get back. Now, let's talk a little bit about next month. Next month is February. Should be a good month for me. March is going to suck. March, April, May, foreseeable future starting in March. I'm going to be in Italy and New York and all kinds of places. But so, if you're hearing this and you're in any of those areas, let me know. I'll bring my miniatures. We'll play some games. But I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Super, once again, real big congratulations to Sarah Jane and John for their being named to the Scottish WTC team. Number one in our hearts, number one in drinking, number one maybe at the table. We'll see. But doesn't matter because they're winning at life. On behalf of Beermachine Rich, I'm Menoff John. This has been an hour of your life you will not get back. And we'll see you maybe next month on Painting with Menoff John. Good night, everybody. Big floppy donkey dicks.